What's going on, Park Hoppin'? It's Odin coming with you with my first video, and yeah, it's been a long time coming now. I told Jay that I would be having a video of my top 5 favorite coasters weeks ago, and then just life got in the way with all the craziness going on, and so here it is. As Jay likes to say, I am the king of hot takes, and so I'm sure that this is going to come across as a hot take from a lot of people in this list today. But before I get into my actual top 5 favorite coasters list, let me give you some honorable mentions, and the first one on my list, the first honorable mention, is the Incredible Hulk Rollercoaster. Yeah, but kind of an odd choice, I think, from any coaster enthusiast out there, but I think that it is just a very enjoyable experience. For those that don't know a whole lot about me, my family and I used to actually travel to Disney World and Universal Studios every single Christmas for a period of about 10 years or so. It's been a very long time since we've done that. However, for a very long portion of my life, almost every single year, we were always looking forward to this trip. And even though Disney always had that kind of special place because of all the various theme elements they have in the park and a lot of nostalgia, it was always Universal, the park that I looked forward to the most, especially Isles of Adventure, because they just had better rides. They just had better coasters. And I've always been an adrenaline junkie. I've always loved going to coasters. In fact, there was another period of my life after that, going to these theme parks with my family, where I started going every single summer to various theme parks, including Kings Island, Kings Dominion, all across the country. And it was always just so much fun to do because I love coasters. And the reason why this one, I think, has this honorable mention spot, and it's a ride that I've always still enjoyed, is just because of the theme elements of it. I love how when you wait in line for the ride, you get all of these little video vignettes, these little cartoon vignettes of everything going on with Bruce Banner, and he's getting ready to do his testing with the gamma radiation, and then all of a sudden when you're on the ride, you have that voiceover. It's like I think this time it's gonna work, and then all of a sudden you get shot out, and it's just an amazing experience overall. You go from 0 to 40, and it says up here in about 2 seconds, which again is just a great thrill, and then immediately you get turned upside down, and it's just so much fun. I have not been on the ride since it has been redone. I want to say the last few years they went through some renovations. I think they did some work on the cars overall, so I've not been on it since that point. However, the track has not changed, and so therefore I can't imagine that this would ever change on my list. Just a very fun ride overall. Max speed of 67 miles an hour. Always great to have a faster speed on a coaster. This coaster also opened up in 1999 in the Universal Isles of Adventure. So my first honorable mention goes to the Incredible Hulk coaster. Damn good time. Coming in at a next honorable mention slot is a ride called Top Thrill Dragster. Now, anyone that's ever been to Cedar Point has probably seen this ride. You've probably waited the 2-3 hours that it sometimes takes to get on this ride, because it is a very unique experience. Basically, you get shot out from 0 to 120 miles an hour in 4 seconds, and because of that, they can only give so many cars out at a time. The cars can only fit so many people at a time, and so therefore it takes a little while to actually get things going. And every time that I've ever gone to Cedar Point, I've now gone about a few times in my life, it always is going through some type of technical issue where the ride gets shut down. I know, Willow, I feel the same exact way whenever that happens. And so you always are waiting, and then the line gets shut down, and then you do I wait in the line? Do I go try and ride other parks or not? Who knows? But it's just really a cool ride overall. And that's the reason why I'm putting it in an honorable mention slot, because even though it's awesome, even though you go 120 miles an hour in 4 seconds, you go up 420 feet. Again, an amazing experience. The ride is also very, very short. Again, the ride itself is only seconds long, and also you have to wait an extremely long time just to get on it. So it's great while you're on the ride. However, you have to wait a long-ass time to get on there, and then the ride isn't even that long in the first place, and that's why it gets an honorable mention spot on my list. Now, jumping into my top 5 favorite coasters of all time, and these lists can always change over time as I go to new coasters. There are, of course, various parks that I've never been to. I've never actually been to a Busch Gardens, for instance, or other parks associated with them, and so there's definitely going to be some coasters that are going to be missing off the list, and these are all, of course, my own personal experiences, and I'm going to explain why each one holds the position that it does. So coming in at number 5 is the ride Maverick. So staying in Cedar Point, Maverick is a very unique experience. I actually got to ride this ride pretty close to when it first opened. When it opened back in 2007. Again, within about a few years or so of its first opening, I got to actually go on the ride, and it is just a damn good time. It's only 3 minutes long, but that's actually pretty decent for a coaster. And the unique aspect to this ride is that when you go up, you get pushed up at a pretty quick pace, so it's not the typical chain lift. Instead, it uses magnets, which is just a really cool concept. You go up pretty quickly, and then in that first drop, you actually go in a 95-degree drop, meaning that the ride literally curves in on itself itself as it's dropping down. And so just that experience of basically being inverted just a little bit. Again, if you watch the ride and you see a picture, you see, it's just a little bit inverted. It's just a really, really cool experience. It's very, very quick too. It's one of those few rides where you almost can't see what's going on because you're just going so quickly. The max speed on this ride is around 70 miles an hour. So it's not like it's a crazy speed coaster in comparison to the other ones that I've mentioned. But because of the way the track is made and because of the way the turns are, things seem so much faster than what they already are. There's also, when it first opened, had some of the best shirts out there. There's an old shirt that I have somewhere where it has, the Maverick horse on it, and it just looks just awesome. It's about a brown shirt, and it's fantastic. It opened in 2007. Max height of 105 feet. So again, not the biggest coaster, not the fastest coaster, but definitely has a unique experience that I thoroughly enjoyed going through. And again, Cedar Point is going to come up a couple more times, or rather is coming up at least one more time on this list because it just always has, it really is one of the best coaster parks in the country. All right, coming in at number 4 is a ride called Diamondback. Now, Diamondback also really not all that special when it comes to height and speed. It's, again, that experience that you go through. So this is one from Kings Island. Very lucky enough in my life to have gone to Kings Island a couple times. This is also, in the vicinity of Cedar Point. You do have to drive about an hour and a half or so to get to it, but it is still, I think, a great experience if you go into Ohio to Cedar Point to drive out of your way to go also to Kings Island, because they're both great experiences for various different reasons. So this is one that has a max height of 230 feet, max speed of 80 miles an hour, and it is just damn fun. This is one of those rides too where it's that first drop that just really gets you. It has a very awesome, very awesome first drop where you're going not only just very quickly, but if you ever have those moments on coasters where all of a sudden all the fears and anxieties and everything that you've been building up in your life just go out the window, this ride has one of those drops. And also, because of the way that it is designed, it doesn't have any flips or anything, but it does have these awesome hills that when you get to the top of it, and that's why I always prefer, again, some people might ask, are you a front coaster or a back coaster person? I am back coaster all the way because you get so much more feelings of weightlessness on rides like this, and that's why I love Diamondback, because it has several moments where all of a sudden you're just going up a hill, you're going back down again, and you're just weightless in the air, and it has, it has just a typical, I'm trying to think about the actual name of it overall. It's basically you don't have a harness in. Instead, it's just a lap bar. And so literally you are being lifted out, and it's just an amazing experience, and I love it. This one first opened in 2009. So again, relatively new coaster. So it was a really cool experience to be able to drive, to be able to ride on this one. And it's a damn good time. So I thoroughly enjoy it, and that's why it comes in at my number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3 is definitely the newest ride on this list, and that is a ride called Banshee, also at Kings Island. And this ride has a couple of special places in my heart. For one, it's a damn good coaster. Max speed, 68 miles an hour, max height, 167 feet. So again, nothing too special there, but it is a damn good time. There's a really cool theme to it where basically every time you go up and every time you do that first drop, the ride has this Banshee scream that's really, really creepy and just very well done. Again, I love the design of this coaster, especially the theme behind it. I think one of the coolest parts of this coaster, and the reason why it's so high up on my list, is because as you are going through the queue, as you're waiting in line, there is a monument there to Son of Beast, which is a ride I never got to ride in my life, but the first time that I went to Kings Island, I literally got to stare at it. For those who don't know, Son of Beast was a wooden roller coaster that was unique because it had a wooden loop in it. It was a very unique design, one of the only wooden coasters I think that's ever been created. There might have been one since then, but at the time it was the only wooden roller coaster that had a wooden loop, and it was a ride that was always on those top lists on television that I would always just watch and obsess over and say, I gotta ride this one day, and I never got to, because it just broke down constantly. And of course there were various injuries that came about because it's a wooden coaster, firstly, and of course the loop as well just made it more prone to it. And so eventually, unfortunately, because of people suing for injuries, they had to shut it down. And so the first time I went to Kings Island, it was still there. And so I remember looking and staring at the wreckage. And then years later, when I went back, it had finally all been taken down. It had all been, demolished, and it was so sad. However, Banshee was in its place. Banshee was an excellent ride, and there's a nice monument with a flame on top in memory of the Son of Beast. And I thought that was a really cool monument, a very cool tribute to it as well. And it's a fun ride. Again, newest ride on this list. I recommend, if you're ever in Kings Island, wait for Banshee. In fact, when I went, it was so new and it was not the most unique ride in the park that it actually was a walk-on. So I actually got to go on it like 2 or 3 times, and it's just fun. It's just a very well-designed ride, and it is a lot of fun. And that is why it has my number 3 spot. Coming in at number 2 is the Beast. This is the best, I argue, the best wooden roller coaster in existence. This one also comes from Kings Island, and yes, there is a connection between Son of Beast. Beast was created first in 1979. Again, just goes to show you the fact that this ride has been around since the 70s and is still one of the best rides out there, and is still, in my mind, the best wooden coaster out there. Should speak volumes of it. So when Son of Beast was made, it was made in the same park, and it was supposed to be kind of like almost like a sequel to what the Beast was. And so the Son of Beast was also a longer coaster, and it was also one that, of course, had the loop. The Beast does not, though. The Beast is all about that speed, and it's all about just an amazing experience as you're going through all of the woods and the back parts of the park. It's just freaking fantastic, and that's the reason why it is so unique, because it is 7,359 feet long. So yeah, max speed is 65 miles an hour in a wooden coaster. That is awesome. There's some great drops in here. There's some drops where you're basically sideways as you're dropping, going through, wood coverings, and it just never ends. That's the great part about it. There's like 2 or 3 different chain lifts throughout this ride, and as I said, it goes 7,000 feet, and you're going all throughout the park, and so you have all of the nature around you, you have the speed, you have just the really cool experience, and it's a very smooth ride too. A lot of people don't like roller coasters that are wooden because they oftentimes, cause pain and hurt, and trust me, I've been on those coasters, and I'm not a huge fan of them. The Beast, though, is one of the most smooth experiences I've ever had on a wooden coaster, and even the vibrations that you feel, and any type of getting pulled back and forth, it does not hurt the same way that other coasters do. And again, it's a testament that this ride has been around since the 1970s. It is still operational today, and it is, again, one of the best, and again, I argue the best wooden roller coaster, and easily one of the best roller coasters in the world. And so if you've never been on Beast, anytime that you go to Kings Island, I highly recommend it. You do have to go on a little bit of a walk to get to the actual station, but one of the things that's great about that is that there's almost never any line to it. The times that I've gone over the summer to this ride, there's been no one there, and so it's been an easy walk on, and this is a ride that I would easily do 2 or 3 times in a row and just love every single moment of it. And so that's why it comes in at my number 2 spot. Just so many great things to say about this ride, and again, if this was my wooden roller coasters list, this would be the number 1 on there. But there is one coaster that is better than the Beast. There's one coaster that has the best place in my heart, and it's a coaster that for my entire life, ever since I saw it on television in those top coasters of all time lists on television, I would literally watch the same show over and over again just to get to this ride, and I finally got to ride it years ago, and have since rode it probably close to 10 times, and it is the Millennium Force. This is a Cedar Point ride. This is my favorite Cedar Point ride. And if you go ahead and you see the picture that I have up right now, you can tell that there is that massive, massive first drop that brings you to 60, or rather it brings you up to 93 miles an hour at 310 feet. So not the tallest coaster in the world, but it's all about the overall experience. And just like with the previous coaster I mentioned, where again, it's that first drop mentality like Diamondback, this one's even more so than Diamondback, because it just has that extra height to it. It also has, of course, that extra speed to it as well. And this is a ride that you go on, I would say, as your first ride at the park, and it's a great one to go on as your last ride at the park because of that just first drop experience. And of course, the rest of the ride is fun too. It has some feelings of weightlessness, but this one is more so about speed than that weightlessness that you would have on a ride like Diamondback. And if speed is something that you are obsessed with, I know that I am, G-forces, things like that. This is definitely, I think, a great ride for that. As you can tell, it's got very high ratings even on Google reviews, and it has been around since 1964. And just again, it's been around for a very, very long time, and it has been on top lists even now with all the new technology we have, even with so many other coasters opening up for the first time or getting revamped or anything to that extent, especially across the seas. This is one that almost always comes up on anyone's top 10 list, and is definitely a place that, Cedar Point overall is a place that I think anyone who is a coaster fan should definitely go to. So what are your thoughts about this? Do you have your own top 5 coasters list? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, what do you think about my list? Do you think that my list is fair? Do you agree with my list at all? I would love to hear your thoughts about this as well. And let me know any other content or any other lists that you would love to see from me. I might do my top 5 favorite theme parks, because unlike some other people, I might not go towards ones that actually have good themes, but more so towards ones that have better rides and just a better overall experience, where you feel like you're getting your money's worth out of the ride experience and not just the theme element that a place like Disney would have, for instance. Let me know your thoughts about that and anything I talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash the like button, hit that subscribe. It helps out a lot. We are very, very close to monetization here on this channel, so please help us out, share these videos, and show us some love. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.